What if Deku was in JPDE? Chapter 26. Dominant Girls. Monday. Day 78. As soon as lessons were over for the day, Team Jade had quickly gone to the cafeteria for lunch and then back to the dormitory. Well, that was the quickest cafeteria run ever, David said. We can eat while we talk. Come on, let's hurry, Penny said. Penny then entered their room. I guess she took a liking to her role as tactician, Evelyn said. Probably. But it's not only that, Jack said. If I had to take a guess, she's probably in a hurry because of Thriller. And Bella, David said. Then let's not keep our tactician waiting, Deku said. The others then joined Penny in their dorm. All right. Shoot, Penny, Deku said. Well, I'd like to, but as the tactician, I can only move forward with the briefing when given authorization by our commander, Penny said. Okay, Deku said. I see. Permission granted, tactician Penny, Jack said. Glady so, Commander, Penny said. The plan worked. Through David's senses, I managed to follow his aura through the pre-obsidian structure, if only for the brief seconds before he, and including Izuku, fell unconscious, Penny said. Wasn't exactly what happened, but... Yeah, David said. I'm sorry to say I haven't been able to actually find the body of the user. I suspect he was too far removed from our point of access for a timely scan. But now I have a grasp on how his semblance works and how to neutralize it, Penny said. And now the map, right, Evelyn asked. Wait, map? What map, Jack asked. How did they print something like this in less than one day, David asked. We have a professor who's an interested party, remember, Evelyn asked. Fair point, David said. What I've found are a kind of receptacle, points where the aura of this figure naming himself Bod was focused, concentrated, Penny said. So, he has been feeding his aura into the pre-obsidian structure for a decade. What kind of creature, Deku said. These points are arranged in a non-accidental way around the city. They form a pattern. An array of sorts that seems to split the city into well-defined areas, Penny said. This looks less like a semblance and more like a security system, Jack said. What was it he said? He didn't want anyone interfering with what was going on in the city, Evelyn asked. Whatever this affair of his may be, he told David to go to the mines to find out, Penny said. Which are all the way at the back. And I bet that the strongest concentration of aura is there, David said. Yes. Moving on, whatever these focal points are, I believe that by taking them out we will be able to liberate large areas of the city from the semblance. In theory, Penny said. And one of those points is right on top of the front gate, Jack asked. Precisely, Penny said. Fantastic. That leaves us with one itsy-bitsy problem. We can't use aura. I'll bet my ears that the debilitating whatchamacallit isn't the only defense this guy has at his disposal, Evelyn said. No aura. No problem. Me and Penny should be able to handle anything that comes our way, Deku said. Yeah, about that. I don't really want to send just the two of you in, Jack said. I agree. Let's try and find another way to explore the area, David said. Or someone willing to help us, keep their silence and who also happens to fight without aura well enough to act as rearguard for you two, Evelyn said. Sadly, I don't know of any other androids, Penny said. Even a cyborg would do, Evelyn said. I know many people who can fight without aura. But unless Remnant suddenly achieves space travel. Yeah, Deku said. Deku and Jack were currently in the kitchen having a small chat. So, what are you going to do for the rest of the day, Jack asked. I'll go see if Weiss is free. She's been teaching me to sing recently, Deku said. Oh, really? How's that going, Jack asked. It's slow going, to say the least. But Weiss is a very good teacher, Deku said. I see. Though before you go, I need to tell you what happened when me and David stepped out when Penny's father was here, Jack said. Okay. What happened? Deku asked. Well, Jack said as she started to recount what happened. An escort mission. But that's so. So Weiss said. Beneath me, Winter asked. I didn't mean it like that. But maybe, Weiss said. Normally you would be right, you boob, but this person I was tasked with escorting is Atlas's greatest scientist, Enrico Polendina. His protection cannot be entrusted to simple grunts, Winter said. I guess we worried for no reason, David said. Something the matter, children? Winter asked. We were just worried that Weiss was going to bring the house down on us, Jack said. So Winter is your older sister, Weiss? David asked. You know Win, of course you do. Polendina, he must be Penny's father or something. Yes, this is my sister, Winter Schnee, an Atlas specialist. Sister, these are Jacqueline B. Ivory, leader of Team JPDE, Weiss said. Ivory. Oh, Winter said. Been there, done that. It's a pleasure to be properly introduced, Winter, Jack said. I see. A pleasure, Winter said. And he's David Dik Begis, one of Jack's partners, Weiss said. One of Jack's partners? Winter asked. Yeah, they're a team of 5. Izuku is her other partner, Weiss said. I see, Winter said. His. Oh. Oh, no, Weiss said. Weiss. What's wrong? Winter asked. I don't even think about you two meeting up so soon. I'm not prepared. I don't know how to. Before I even, Weiss said. Weiss, what's the matter? You're hyperventilating, David said. Weiss breathes in and then out. You're going to have to improvise, Weiss. Just going to have to improvise, Weiss said. Weiss, seriously. What's wrong? Jack asked. Winter. You've met Izuku, Weiss said. Yes. I've known him since yesterday. Get to the point, Winter said. He's your future in-law, Weiss said. He's what? Winter asked. Izuku's what? David asked. You what? Jack asked. Ah. Oh no. Too soon. Too fast, Weiss said. That's an understatement of the century, David said. My future. Izuku's your boyfriend? Winter asked. Not yet. But I plan to steal him, Weiss said. Steal? Winter asked. That. I mean, he already has a girlfriend, but Weiss said. Weiss then ran away. Blake. I require your collection to trashy literature, Weiss shouted. What did you just say about my books? Blake asked. I think I need to have a talk with my sister. I should have had long ago, Winter said. Please do. For Izuku's sake, Jack said. Izuku. He's one surprising young man, Winter said. Winter then followed after Weiss. So. Does Weiss know about you, Penny and Evelyn being a thing with Izuku? Jack asked. Nope, David said. She does seem like a traditionalist, Jack said. So, yeah. That's what happened, Jack said. I see, Deku said. What are you going to do? Jack asked. Well. I guess I'll confront her about this and tell her about my relationship and see how she reacts, Deku said. That's probably for the best. There's no way the girls would allow Weiss to steal you, Jack said. Jack and Deku laughed. Deku then left for Team RWBY's room. Deku knocked on the door, though Ruby answered the door. Izuku. Hi, Ruby said. Hey, Ruby. I came to see Weiss, Deku said. Ruby scowled and then went back into her room. Deku then knocked on the door again. Ruby, what was that about? Deku asked. Deku then heard Weiss. Can't believe Weiss said. Weiss. Hello, Deku said. How? Weiss said. I told you to go away, Ruby said. You haven't told me anything, Deku said. Ruby, is that Izuku? Weiss asked. It's no one, Ruby said. What do you mean no one? Weiss asked. Weiss the exited her room. Dust above, it really is you, Izuku. What happened? Weiss asked. I don't know. I just came by to talk with you and she closed the door in my face without saying anything, Deku said. She. Ruby. What's wrong with you? Weiss asked. He's the enemy. We don't fraternize with the enemy, Ruby said. He's not the... Oh, you're definitely, ultimately, without a shadow of doubt 5 years old. Let's go talk somewhere else, Weiss said. I'm so confused, Deku said. Weiss and Deku then left the dormitory and headed to the gardens. I'm so sorry you had to see that, Weiss said. I'm still not sure what exactly that was, Deku said. A teen being a child. Let's leave it at that, Weiss said. But isn't that how Ruby always is? Deku asked. Yeah. But she's acting so childish. Why is she angry on my behalf? Weiss said. And why is she angry on your behalf? Deku asked. Because no one on Team RWBY has ever lost a fight at Beacon. Well, until Jack defeated me in one punch. I see, Deku said. Sometimes I wonder why she's out, leader, Weiss said. Well. I don't think you have much to stand on as of lately, Deku said. Huh? What do you mean? Weiss asked. Weiss. Jack told me what happened, Deku said. What are you? Oh. Oh, Weiss said. Yeah. But before we proceed further, I need to tell you about my relationship with Penny, Evelyn and David, Deku said. Wait, proceed further. And what's this about Penny, Evelyn and David? Weiss asked. Well, to tell the truth, all of us are dating each other, Deku said. Oh gods. Oh no. Oh gods, Weiss said. Weiss, are you okay? Deku asked. I have to go, Weiss said. Weiss then ran off. That could have gone better, Deku said. Deku then called Jack. Hey Jack, do we need anything from Vale? Deku asked. Deku was now in Vale. Jack had given him a list of things to get and was now making his way to the Bullhead Landing. He was passing the local bar when he saw Winter inside. Stupid. Stupid teenagers, Winter said. Miss Winter, Deku said. Who? Midoriya, Winter said. Deku noticed that Winter seemed to be drinking tea, but the bottle next to her suggested she was putting something else in her tea. Of all the places to wander to, Winter said. Sorry, but this is the fastest way to the Bullhead. Also, I've heard about Weiss. Outburst, Deku said. I see. Come sit. I want to talk with you, Winter said. Deku then entered the bar and sat down with Winter. So, you said you wanted to talk to me. That's what I said. But I'm struggling to find the right words. So I guess I should tell you what happened. I'm sure you were told that I was to give Weiss a talk, Winter said. Yes, I was, Deku said. Well. It did not go as I expected, Winter said. How so? Deku asked. You may have surmised that the focus of our discussion was going to be how trying to steal loved ones from their partners is unbecoming of human beings, let alone a shiny, Winter said. I guessed as much, Deku said. But I had sadly underestimated my sister's competitiveness. And the fact that despite her lineage, she is still a bloody teen. So her answer went something like Winter said. Winter then started to recount what happened. Relationships aren't something you can just break for your own gain. So cease this ill-advised endeavor, Winter said. No, Weiss said. Excuse me, Winter asked. I won't. I won't do as you say, Weiss said. You won't. Have you listened to a word I've said? Consider their feelings, Winter said. And what about my feelings? I'm in love with Izuku, Weiss said. Weiss, I really doubt that. It's most probably just a temporary fancy, Winter said. A temp? Winter, how dare you? It's most certainly not, Weiss said. Weiss, Your experience with this kind of matter is non-existent. I doubt you can tell the difference, Winter said. Oh, because you have so much experience to draw upon, Ice Queen Weiss said. What? What did you just call me? Winter asked. The name everyone in your age group called you behind your back in Atlas. They joked and teased about how you would brush off anyone trying to get close to you, be it man or woman, Weiss said. That's... They didn't. Don't change the subject. We're talking about you here, Winter said. Indeed. You are talking about my love life without a leg to stand on. It's not a fancy or a crush. I like Izuku because he cares about me without caring about my name. And he shares my interest in dust. Willing to help me without even me having to ask. And so many other things. I will give up on my feelings only if and when he rejects MW. I certainly won't, based on the counsel of someone who's never even liked anyone in their entire life, Weiss said. Weiss then stormed out of her room. What? What just happened? Winter asked. I have liked someone before, Winter said quietly. I didn't quite catch that, Deku said. Never mind that last part. Point is, the situation is a mess, isn't it? I didn't think Weiss could get so fixated on something like this, Winter said. Yeah, Deku said. Considering she said she would only quit her endeavor when you rejected her, could I ask to do that sooner rather than later and put an end to all of this, Winter said. Why would I do that? Deku asked. Excuse me. This is the worst feeling of deja vu, Winter said. I appreciate your concern, Miss Winter, but you could have asked what I think about it, too, Deku said. What is there to think about? Winter asked. It's a long story. But suffice to say, me and my girlfriends and boyfriend haven't decided how to handle the Weiss situation yet, Deku said. I appreciate your concern, but I think it would be in everyone's best interest if... Girl. Friends? Winter questioned. And boyfriend. As I said. Complicated. Anyway, it's getting kind of late. Thanks for the talk, Miss Winter. Seems I have a few things to think about. Have a good night, Deku said. Deku then left the bar. This is shameless, Winter said. Tuesday. Day 79. What do you mean, no thanks? Howard asked. Exactly that. I changed my mind. I won't pursue the secondary objective of capture of our target any longer and limit myself to the primary task of observation, Thiller said. What are you trying to do? Howard asked. I will do nothing more than what is asked of me, Howard, Thiller said. You bitch, Howard said. Oh, no need to get vulgar, Howard. You could do the same without any repercussions, Thiller said. Unlike you, I'm loyal towards the boss, Howard said. True. And in your eyes, capturing David would be the best way to help him. Despite the boss's wishes. Well, he didn't expressly forbid us from trying to capture him. Point is, Howard. You should probably rethink what is in whose best interests. That's what I did, Thiller said. Thiller then left the room. Damn it, Howard said. David had gathered all members to Team Jade and had told them about a proposal to work at Juniors. I really don't know about this, David Evelyn said. I'm veering more towards no myself, Penny said. That makes it two of us, Jack said. I don't think you should take this in your current state and situation, Deku said. Yeah, I know what you mean. Which is why I wanted to discuss it out loud with all of you. And honestly, I feel like I should at least try the job, David said. Despite your current issues, Penny asked. Exactly because of those issues, David said. You mean like some kind of therapy over the impression Bella left you with, Jack asked. Let's not act like it isn't some thing that people with little morals would exploit the hell out of. A way to make me freeze like a deer caught in headlights. I mean, this seems the safest way to do it, you know. I will no doubt be under observation at all times so the girls can stop anyone who goes too far. They are kind of brutal with troublemakers, David said. Can't I just give you 1,000 hugs a day, Evelyn asked. Hey. Sorry, David said. Just. Promise you won't force yourself to continue, Penny said. I want you out of that joint the moment you feel uncomfortable or under pressure, partner, Jack said. Of course, David said. How about I accompany you on your first few outings? Just to make sure, Deku said. That's a good idea actually, David said. That makes me feel a bit better about this, Penny said. Anyone messes with Blondie D, they'll get a fistful of green D, Evelyn said. Evelyn, I thought you weren't extending the relationship yet, Jack joked. Wednesday. Day 80. Deku was currently trying to think of someone who would be able to go with him and Penny into the main gate of Peak. Even though the two of them were perfectly able to go in together, Deku had to agree that a third person would be very helpful. He thought Pyrrha would be a good choice, but he really didn't want to put her in danger, no matter how good of a fighter she was. He thought about maybe Jack or Evelyn could wear armor, but that would have restricted their movements. Deku then noticed Cinder, Emerald and a guy with silver hair in the gardens. Hey, Cinder. Emerald, Deku said. Hey, Emerald said. Hello, Izuku. Fancy meeting you here, Cinder said. On the road between the mess hall and the dormitory. I wouldn't call it that fancy, Deku said. Watch your mouth, Shorty, the guy said. What, Deku said. Mercury, stand down, Cinder said. But Mercury said. I can handle a conversation by myself, thank you very much, Cinder said. Sorry, Mercury said. Izuku, this is Mercury. He's our teammate and my partner, Emerald said. A pleasure, Deku said. Yeah, whatever, Mercury said. So, Izuku. What can I do for you, Cinder asked. That depends. Can we speak privately, Deku asked. Certainly. Will the bench over there do, Cinder asked. Perfect, Deku said. Cinder and Deku then went over to the bench. The hell? Why is she acting like this with that guy, Mercury said. What else is she supposed to act like with a student, Moran Emerald said. I guess Emerald and Mercury will make it so that no one disturbs us, Deku asked. Will they, now? What makes you think that, Cinder asked. It's what I'd do if my boss was talking business in semi-public, Deku said. Oh, I should keep you close, Cinder said. Or you could keep me even closer. We haven't decided that yet, have we, Deku asked. I'd be more interested in a fruitful partnership, Izuku, Cinder said. Glad to hear it. It just so happens that there's a matter you could help me with, if your resources allow you to, Deku said. And what would that be, Cinder asked. I need someone who can fight without aura, Deku said. Someone who can fight without using aura, Cinder said. Fight at a level superior to that of a normal human, of course, Deku said. I figured. It is still a strange request, Cinder said. My team and I have come upon a roadblock that cannot be traversed while actively using aura, Deku said. I've never heard of such a thing. Is it a semblance, Cinder asked. As far as we know. We're one step away from cracking the case, but only me and one of my teammates is combat ready without aura, Deku said. You can fight without aura, Cinder asked. I said so, didn't I? Anyways, we'd like to have at least one more person as support, to guard our rear. There's no telling what we may find, Deku said. It's a pretty big risk to take. I do have one person in mind, but... What's in it for me, Cinder asked. I don't know. I don't know enough about you and your operations to make an offer. All I know is you have N-forces instead of teammates and that you're doing something Ozpin wouldn't approve of, Deku said. You don't mince words, Midoriya. It's honestly refreshing, Cinder said. You'd see right through me, anyway. Do you need time to think about it? I should probably tell my teammates about the proposal, anyway, Deku said. I'm sure I can think of something by tomorrow. Shall we meet here again, same time, Cinder asked. Fair. Then I'll see you tomorrow with my team, Deku said. Deku then left. How did it go? Memerald asked. I was surprised, which doesn't happen often. And there's opportunity, having an entire beacon team in our debt at the price of 1 Mercury, Cinder said. What Mercury said? Question is, what's the best use we can make of them, Cinder asked. Deku was currently cuddling with Penny in their room. Midoriya Winter shouted as she burst open the door. Oh. Good afternoon, Miss Winter, Penny said. Hello, Penny, good evening. And you womanizer, Winter said. What? Deku said. Defiler. Corrupter. Lust demon, Winter shouted. I don't. What even? What is this all about? Deku asked. I'm afraid I share Izuku's confusion, Miss Winter, Penny said. Of course, you do. You poor thing, you've been his first victim, haven't you? Winter asked. Victim? Penny asked. Okay, Miss Winter. I'm going to need you to back up and start making some sense here, Deku said. Oh, look at him playing all innocent. How did you even do it? Hypnosis. Additives in their food. Some kind of semblance. I feel sick even just thinking about it, Winter said. How I did what? Deku asked. Convince these poor girls to take part in this debauchery you dare call a relationship. No one in their right mind would agree to such filth. Thank goodness I happened to visit before you could sink your claws in my sister completely, Winter said. Miss Winter, you misunderstand. There was no brainwashing or alteration of conscious thought involved in the creation of this relationship, Penny said. Yeah. I mean, who do you take me for? Deku asked. And it was actually my idea, truth tell, Penny said. Oh my gods, you're so far gone you're actually lying to cover for him, Winter said. Winter, have you still been drinking since we talked at the bar? Deku asked. I have not, thank you very. I mean I haven't had a drink since. Shut up, Winter said. Winter, if I had a stud semblance as you said, I would try my best to keep it a secret instead of showing off by having 2 beautiful girlfriends. I'm in a school for hunters, how long would it take for someone to sniff me out, and why would I allow David to also date them? And about the other methods you proposed, how would those even work on Penny? Deku asked. The logic is sound, Penny said. But that would mean that you actually... And then you agreed. I see. The question then is, why didn't you refuse such a proposal? Winter asked. What reason would I have not to? Deku asked. Because such a relationship has no chance of working, Winter said. It's working so far. And I'd appreciate you didn't pass judgment on things you know nothing about, Deku said. In the short term, maybe, but what about the future? Most people have trouble making a one-on-one relationship work, Winter said. We are not most people. And if you think you can convince us to just break things off by talking about it, you'd have better luck trying to get to the moon, Deku said. Fine. Set yourself up for a ruined bond. But leave my sister out of this, Winter said. Seems like you still don't get it, Winter. I'm not your sibling, I'm not a soldier of the Atlas Army, and I'm certainly not afraid of you. You have nothing to threaten me with, you have no clout to exercise, and you have no say in how we live our lives. I don't know how we're going to deal with Weiss's affection towards me, but that's going to be between us, her and no one else. Was that clear enough? Deku asked. Crystal, Winter said. Winter then left. God above. The nerve of her to just barge and accuse me of something with no evidence. And then tell us that our relationship will. Who does she think she is? And after Weiss already, Deku said, getting quite angry. Izuku, Penny said. Oh. Yes, Penny. Sorry, I got lost in my rant, there, Deku said. It's alright. It's just. I'm feeling particularly affectionate towards you right now. Is that normal? Penny asked. I guess so, Deku said. Alright. I could ignore the crazy Atlas specialist, but I'm not sticking around for this. Going to the library, Jack said. Penny then gave Deku a lot of love. Deku was now in the gym doing push-ups. Exercising allowed him to blow off steam from earlier. Deku then felt something heavy placed on his back, causing him to fall to the floor. If that's all your spine is worth, no wonder, Winter said. Winter? Are you sitting on me? Deku asked. Is that all it takes to break you? You are a weak man. In both body and spirit, Winter said. Deku started to do push-ups while Winter was still on his back. What is this? Your personal brand of submission? Winter asked. No. It's my personal brand of screw you, Deku said. Pride, then Winter asked. Maybe. Also, I was thinking. You're Weiss's sister. Penny likes you, Deku said. Correct on both accounts. So Winter asked. You're going to stick around? One way or the other, Deku said. Oh, I'm going to do much more than stick around, Midoriya. I'm going to be your goddamned nightmare. You want to be adults? Fine. Then I shall treat you like adults, and I will watch you, Winter said. Do whatever you want. And that brings us back full circle. I get it. You worry about Weiss. But if you think I'm gonna scare. If you think I'm going to run from you. Or them. You're out of your mind, Deku said. Deku then stood up, pushing Winter off his back, causing her to fall to the floor, causing her to let out a girlish yelp. She landed on her butt and her legs spread open. She quickly stood up and regained her composure. So be it. I think my future assignments will bring me to Vale quite often, Midoriya, Winter said. Deku just started at Winter. Winter then left the gym. Thursday. Day 81. Home. I don't know about this, partner, Jack said. I don't, either. But I think it's better alternative than endangering someone innocent, Deku said. Hey. So these guys aren't evil? Lin asked. I don't think so, no. Cinder, in particular, gives off the same vibes as Neo, Deku said. A constant underlying sensation of danger. And if I have to dance with her, then the deal's off, David said. Don't worry, David. I don't think she would ask for that in return, Deku said. I wonder what their beef with the headmaster is, Jack said. Yeah. While he may be an asshole, he usually always crosses the path of the right mofos, Evelyn said. But they are students from Mistral. The headmaster is a close friend of Headmaster Ozpin, and he personally vouched for each student that has been sent to Beacon, Penny said. Let's go to the meeting. We can make our deductions and decisions after speaking with them, Jack said. Roger, Boss, Deku said. In the Beacon Gardens. Something bothering you, Mercury, Cinder asked. Nothing I can do anything about, Mercury said. That's what I wanted to hear. And here they are, Cinder said. Team Jade then arrived at the gardens. Cinder 4, right, Jack asked. Yes. And you must be Izuku's leader, right? Jack be Ivory, Cinder asked. Jacqueline. Jack is just for my friends, Jack said. I see. These are Emerald Sestrae and Mercury Black, Cinder said. Team Jade did not react well to hearing Mercury's last name. What the hell are you looking at? Mercury asked. Is something wrong? Do you know Mercury from somewhere? Cinder said. No. We don't. But we should probably talk about this without distractions, Jack said. Very well. Izuku can attest to the quality of that bench, Cinder said. Jack and Cinder then went over to the bench. Seriously, what's with you guys? Bipolar Mercury asked. Mercury, remember that we're supposed to collaborate, Emerald said. Nah, that's still up in the air, Mercury said. And it's not up to you, Emerald said. Well, this is just great. He's an asshole and Mocha Girl's introduction was knocking out David, Evelyn said. Well, that's something you didn't mention, Mercury said. Why would I ever mention it to you? And it was self-defense, Emerald said. I guess I did get in a bit too close and personal, didn't I, David asked. I remembered you apologized, Emerald said. It could have been avoided with a little more tact on your part, Miss Stray, Penny said. He cares about tact and was hanging out with Neo. These things do not go together, Emerald said. Well, I guess they are getting acquainted, Jack said. Better they get along than otherwise, no, Cinder asked. Sounds like you really want this collaboration to happen, Cinder. Any reason why, Jack asked. A couple. The main one is, I'd like your team to do something for me. In exchange, you will have our assistance with whatever pickle you may have found yourself in, Cinder said. Very generous. But what exactly are you offering, Jack asked. Mercury. Izuku told me you need a superior fighter to support Izuku and another, Cinder said. For a day, yeah. And how is he a superior fighter, Jack asked. How are your teammates superior fighters, Cinder asked. Hey. I see. But I will expect him to share his fighting abilities with us beforehand. I'm sending him in to watch the backs of two of my teammates, Jack said. It's fair. I trust that will be reciprocated. Mercury is a precious member of my team, Cinder said. Of course. Actually, I wanted to suggest you all come with us on location, Jack said. Interesting. And where exactly is this location you speak of, Cinder asked. That is only going to be revealed to you if this deal goes through. So far you have barely talked what you want from us, Cinder, Jack said. Very well, then. I trust that, in case of refusal, you won't be telling anyone about this and that we'll just stay out of each other's way, Cinder asked. As long as I don't deem you too dangerous to keep around, Jack said. My sentiments exactly, Cinder said. It's been 20 minutes, now. I wonder what they are talking about, David said. They are probably getting as many details as possible out of each other, Deku said. The conversation seems to be amicable, though, Emerald said. Darn it, Mercury said. Oh, they are coming back, Penny said. Well, that's that. We have a deal, Jack said. We shall honor our part first. We will meet you at the Bullhead Landing on Sunday morning, Cinder said. We're going as well, Emerald asked. We are. Let's go now, I'll brief you on the way back, Cinder said. Yes. We'll see you soon, then, Emerald said. You'd better not slow me down, Mercury said. Cinder then walked over to Deku and lifted his chin in a seductive fashion. I hope we GWT to know each other very well, and... Don't run, Cinder said. Cinder, Emerald and Mercury then left. What? What was that about, Evelyn asked. That was... Unfortunately, a part of the deal she wouldn't budge on, Jack said. And that was, Penny asked. She wants a date with Izuku, Jack said. What, the others shouted. She wants a date with me in return for their help, Deku asked. No. That's not all, it's more of a smaller thing, compared to the other thing she wants, Jack said. And that is, David asked. Nothing complicated. We just need to blow up a mountain, Jack said. What, the others shouted. Deku was currently walking through the beacon halls when... Hey. Izuku, Gwen stuttered. Oh, hi Gwen, Deku said. The two stood there in silence. Do you need something, Deku asked. Oh, right. I heard from Octavia that you are willing to help me with, boys, Gwen said. I did tell Octavia that, yes, Deku said. Well, I'd like your help, Gwen said. Okay, sure. So what do you want to work on? Deku asked. Everything, Gwen said. What I mean is, what specific thing about boys do you want to work on? Deku asked. Oh, I see what you mean. Well, I guess we could work on my confidence with boys. I'm such a nervous wreck when meeting boys, Gwen said. Then we will start there. I'll let you know when I come up with something, Deku said. Okay. We should exchange scroll numbers, Gwen said. They then exchanged scroll numbers. Oh, before I go. Is there anything you are confident in doing, even with a boy? Deku asked. Well, I guess fights. I don't freeze up when I fight, Gwen said. I'll keep that in mind. See you later, Deku said. See you, Gwen said. Friday, day 82. Well. Sounds like Deku has a free afternoon, Nora said. Does he now? Ren said. So. What do I do? Nora asked. You made the offer. Would be rude to retract it, Ren said. Yeah, well, that was before someone went and put weird ideas in my head, Nora said. Well. No one is forcing you to entertain them, Ren said. You are so unfair, Mr. Nora said. Stubbornness is to be fought smarter, not harder, Ren said. Yeah. Still not sure about this, Nora said. I know. So, how about you go slow, for now, Ren said. How slow? Nora asked. While I'm 100% certain of your compatibility, I think you should verify it for yourself. And a gym situation gives you plenty of opportunities, doesn't it? Ren said. Nora said. Deku was now in the gym to train with Nora. Alright. Ready, Deku. Hope you came ready because I've prepared a special routine for us today, Nora said. Have you, now? I hope this time things will go better, unlike the pancakes, Deku said. We shall see. Let's start with a warm-up, then. The treadmill awaits, Nora said. Deku watched Nora bouncing up to the treadmill. As she did, he noticed how her body was reacting to the bouncing. He quickly shook his head. He must have imagined it. As they started to run on the treadmill, Deku saw that Nora's boobs were bouncing all over the place. She wasn't wearing a bra. Phew. That was a good start. How are you holding up? Nora asked. I'm fine, Deku said. You sure? You seemed a bit zoned out, every now and then, Nora said. It was not because of the running, I can assure you, Deku said. Well, what was it, then? Nora asked. Nothing in particular, Deku said. Well, you'd better focus, mister, we got to hit the weights, now, Nora said. Focused? I'm absolutely focused, now, Deku said. Nora and Deku then moved on to weights, but again Deku was distracted by Nora's body, this time by her legs of steel. Ow, I may have reached a new limit with the old thunder thighs, Nora said. Thunder what now? Deku asked. Pfft, I know. Let's just say I'm taking back the term. They do bring the thunder. But in a different way. One of my goals in life is squashing a watermelon, Nora said. So, what's next? Deku asked. Abs. We're going crunches and then reverse crunches. But first I'm gonna to rest my legs for a bit. They still hurt a bit, mind helping me to a bench? Nora asked. Oh, sure, Deku said. Deku approached Nora. He put her left arm over his left shoulder, whilst his right arm went under hers and wrapped around. Unordinary, Deku's hand had ended up cupping her breast, though Nora seemed to not have noticed. Deku then helped Nora to a bench, trying his best not to look or grab Nora's big, voluptuous boobs. I'll continue with weights while your legs heal, Deku said. Okay, Nora said. As Deku went back to the weights, he saw Nora lift up her shirt to wipe her face, showing Deku her under boobs and that she was indeed not wearing a bra. Deku looked away as fast as possible, his face completely red, and his body giving him a very hormonal signal. A while later Nora had recovered and they moved on to crunches. Hey, Deku. Mind being my spotter? Hold my thunder thighs down as I do my crunches, Nora said. Okay. But can't you do them without a spotter, Deku said. Well, I can, but it's much better to have someone holding your legs down so you do the properly, Nora said. That's fair, Deku said. He was hoping he would have been able to get out of this. But Nora had other plans. As he held Nora down, his eyes were locked onto her chest as her boobs jiggled as she did her crunches. He hoped that Nora didn't notice he was staring at her chest and that she would absolutely not notice the bulge in his pants. All right and done. Now it's my turn to hold you down, Nora said. No, Deku shouted. I mean, I can do crunches on my own. Why don't you take a small break and have a drink, Deku said. Oh, okay, Nora said. Nora then went off, leaving Deku alone. Deku sighed in relief as Nora began to walk away, but as she walked she swayed her hips and bobbed up and down, making her boobs jiggle. What's with me today? Why can't I keep my eyes off her? Super sexy body, Deku said. What Deku hadn't realized that Nora was not out of earshot and he heard what he said. After Deku finished his crunches, he moved on to reverse crunches. Nora then leaned over Deku, her boobs placed above his face, and held his hands down. Nora. What are you doing? Deku stuttered. Just returning the favor. See? I told you pinning you down would make it easier, Nora said. I guess so, Deku said. Deku was frozen solid, he couldn't move and his eyes stared at Nora's chest, no matter how hard he tried to close them. Deku, Nora said. What? Deku said. You okay, down there? Nora asked. Perfect. Peach, Deku said. Nora giggled. Seriously, what's with you today? Come on, tell me. What's distracting you? Nora asked. Nothing. Absolutely nothing, Deku said. You sure? Because it kinda feels like you'd rather be somewhere else, right now. Or do something else. No, definitely not convinced. So, Deku, what's on your mind? Nora asked. Deku then forced himself up, his face brushing Nora's boobs as he forced her to let go. Deku quickly left the gym. Goddamn, Nora thought. Deku had returned to his room and hit the shower. Izuku, will you get out of the shower already? I need to wash up as well, Jack said. Sorry, partner. I'm almost done, Deku said. Deku could not get Nora off his mind. Meanwhile, Nora was also having a shower in her room, though she wasn't washing herself. Fuck. He's so cute, Nora said. Nora was currently thinking of Deku while she was playing with herself. I can't stop thinking about him, Nora said. Nora. I need a shower as well, Pyrrha said. Be out in a minute, Nora said. Nora then finished up in the shower and went to bed. Saturday. Day 83. Deku was currently in his dorm room relaxing, when he got a message on his scroll. Deku then remembered that Neo said she had a free weekend soon. I wonder if it's her. She did say she had a free weekend. Better keep on my toes, Deku said. I like your room. Great kitchen. But you shouldn't keep your desk so cluttered, Neo texted. Deku quickly stood up and looked around the room, but Neo was nowhere in sight. So the chase is on, Deku, Deku said. Deku then ran and jumped off the balcony. Deku had gone to the gardens. Being in a more open area would make it harder for Neo to get close without being spotted. Deku then got another text message. Or, why did you leave? I was about to bring you breakfast in bed. Though I do have to rate the diver 10 out of 10, Neo said. Sorry, but I'm not making this easy. You'll have to try harder, Deku texted. Oh. You think I was trying? I was just playing with my food, Neo texted. Then I best stay out in the open. Nowhere for you to hide then, Deku texted. Who says I need cover to stay hidden, Neo texted. Huh. Doesn't need cover. Oh, she must have some sort of invisibility semblance. Oh no, Deku said. Deku was then tackled to the ground and felt something sitting on his body. Neo then appeared before his eyes. She was straddling him and she was laughing. Glad you're having fun, Deku said. She's waving her right index finger from side to side, as if to say he should have known better. So, you've won. What now, Deku asked. Neo's face then went to one of surprise. What? I'm an honorable man. So what do you want, Deku asked. Neo then gives of a crazy look. She then dragged Deku into Vale. And they spent the whole day doing what she wanted. Please. Let me rest, Deku said. Neo then stepped on Deku. No, I don't think you stepping on MW while I'm trying to recover my feet from your abuse is considered rest. Neo had dragged Deku all over Vale. To the market, shops, ice cream, and then to Junior's to dance. Deku had not had his iron souls on when Neo had come around, so he was subjected to Neo's terrible dance moves. Neo then kicked Deku again. Ow. Yeah, definitely not considered. Knock it off, Deku said, starting to get mad. She tilts her head to the side, and he sighed. No, I'm not running away. But please. 15 minutes, Deku said. She holds up her free hand, with 5 fingers stretched out. 5. Deku raises both his hands. 10. He knew she would try and haggle. She sighs and nods, and only then does she remove her foot from his body. Deku then gets up and sits on a bench close by. Neo then straddles Deku again. Neo. What are you doing, Deku asked. Just make sure you don't run again, Neo texted. Deku sighed as he closed his eyes and rested for 10 minutes before Neo dragged him away. End of chapter 26.